Welcome back, y'all. I'm Shayna Cersei. I'm so excited to paint with you today. Thanks for joining me on my channel. Today we are going to be focusing on warm colors of the color wheel. If you caught my last live, if you didn't, I'll put a link in the video here so you can take a look at that. But we focus on just the cool colors of the color wheel. So today we're going to talk about the warm colors, and we're going to do another kind of folk art inspired composition with just warm colors. So let's put this one to the side. Don't forget to check this one out. Super fun. That was a live session. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. If you don't already, I would love to have you as a subscriber. And keep an eye out for my live sessions, as well as feel free to take a look in the description of this video for information on my studio crew. That's the private group where you can get exclusive content and more live sessions. But today we are focusing on the warm colors. So I have this nice little outline here. The folk art inspired kind of theme is and style is really up my alley right now. I'm like obsessed with it. I've been painting a ton in my sketchbook in this style, but I'm going to use it to do some color studies with you guys in terms of the warm and cools. So let's get started and just dive right in. So warm colors, are all the different warm colors that I could use today. In addition to the colors themselves, I can use different values and shades of these by just adding water to lighten them. So I have lots of reds, very warm browns. So these browns are basically just dark oranges. Reds, browns, oranges, yellows. And I don't even have all the yellows on here. I might add some others to the actual painting. But this is what I have to choose from. And our warm colors really make us feel, for me, they make me feel like their name is warm, something hot, something vibrant, something energetic. Rather than the cool colors, which tend to make you feel calm and cool and serene and soft. Warm colors are kind of sharp in a sense, and I love that you can get those two kind of feelings and moods from just by choosing different colors. So we're going to stick with our warms today, and we're going to do this little red barn kind of scene, and I try to keep it simple so we can focus mostly on the colors and less on the composition and creating texture and things like that. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have this outline here. I have a sky, I have this sun shape, I have a building in this one. So this is going to be red, like a red barn. And then my various hills are going to be different colors of very yellowish greens. So green is technically a cool color, but I'm going to make a very yellow green that's just starting to lean towards green, but really is going to be very yellow. More, and then some kind of wheat colors as well. So very beigey browns. All right, so I'm going to start with, and then I have a fence here, and we're going to add white at the end as a neutral. So I'm going to start with, what am I going to start with? I'm going to start with my sky, which is going to be a really light yellow color. So I'm actually going to pull out some cadmium yellow, which is a pretty neutral, cool yellow color, but I'm going to dilute it a lot with some water. And I'm going to paint right over my trees, I think. Yeah, I'm going to paint the trees. I'm going to paint in an orangish color later. But I'm just going to do a nice wash of yellow. So this is a bright yellow sunny day. I am going to avoid my sun circle here. Now you could do the sun circle in white or a bright yellow, or you could contrast it and go with an orange, like a deep orange color. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm going to figure it out as I go. All right, so just painting in this yellow sky right over my pencil lines, with the exception of that sun in the middle. It's kind of looking pretty cool as a white. So I'm just doing a wash. I'm not being too particular about it being perfectly flat, but I'm also not trying to create too much texture or anything going on in this sky here. Just filling it in with color. Could definitely like pull some color out either on the bottom or the top. So let's say we wanted the bottom to be a little bit lighter. Just re-wet that and start to pull out some color. I could even take a little paper towel. I'm using core paints. So these are highly staining paints. They don't lift as well as some other paints, but they're also very vibrant. So I love them for their vibrancy. I don't mind that they don't lift as well as some other colors. I mean, they still lift, but they just don't lift as much. All right, so we have our sky in place. I just want to make sure that has an even dampness so it dries all the same. Okay, so there is our yellow sky. Now we're going to get into some of the other layers. This is going to be red and my trees are going to be orange. So that's some of our bold colors there. I want this to kind of translate as kind of a wheat field colors with some green. So I'm going to start, actually the closer ones I think I'm going to do this is raw sienna. So you can see it's a very nice kind of yellow, warm golden yellow. And this up against the red barn is going to look really nice. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom here. So again, making this darker on top, lighter on the bottom. So this is still wet, and I'm even going to exaggerate that darkness by pulling in a little burnt sienna and just adding that to the top. And blending it in. So today I'm using my silver black velvet brush. All the supplies will be in the description that I used today. There we go. So we have a nice little gradient here, a nice warm field. And I'm going to do the same here. And I think I'll even exaggerate the top even more with a darker color, but first I'm just going to get this down. So my other area is still wet. So you can see I'm being really careful kind of right next to it. I've actually left a gap. I'll fill that in as that dries. I keep dabbing on this paper towel over here, but this paper towel is protecting the painting next to it. I should be dabbing up here on this paper towel. All right, I'm gonna take some I'm gonna take some Van Dyke brown, which is still a reddish brown, but it's darker and deeper than the burnt sienna. You see that? And we'll find out in a second if this is dry enough that I can go right up to the edge. It's pretty dry, tiny little bleeding. All right, so I have that dark color. I definitely need to grade that out. I don't think I'm going to get I'm using some kind of pre-used tape here, so I don't think I'm going to get a super strong white line there. That's okay. I'm working in my sketchbook today. So I'm using a Bohong sketchbook. Love this. It's 100% cotton paper. It's a beautiful sketchbook. I'll show you at the end. Highly recommend. I'll put the link in the description. So you can see here the difference. They're both warm, but this one is a cooler version of this. This Van Dyke brown is a cooler brown color. I'm going to add some more yellow to the bottom here. I want to warm it up a little bit, but I love this tone contrast here. So far we have lots of yellows. I am going to go yellowish green. So I'm going to use a little green, a little bit. I have a color in here called, oh gosh, I'm going to get it wrong. Green gold. Yes, it's green gold. So it has a green hint to it, but it is still yellow. I'm still going to consider this a very warm color. And we're going to continue on here. So this is looking pretty yellow. Like there's a lot of yellow going on in this painting. So, and browns, that's fine right now. I'm going to offset it with pops of very vibrant reds and oranges. So we're going to get into the other warm colors to really kind of set this off. And the hardest part, one of the harder parts about when you're limiting your palette, especially if you're staying all in one section of the color wheel, is creating contrast, because sometimes contrast, the perception of contrast, really comes in putting complementary colors next to each other, so colors across from each other on the color wheel, and that would mean a warm color and a cool color. So complementary colors are orange and purple are across from each other on the color wheel, so they are complements of each other. Blue, I'm sorry, nope, yellow and purple. Ugh. Yellow and purple are opposite each other on the color wheel. Blue and orange are opposite each other, and red and green. So it's always a cool color paired with a warm color. And complementary colors do really cool things for each other. So when you put them next to each other, they make each other more vibrant. So the appearance of blue next to orange makes orange look brighter. And the same with red and green, purple and yellow. But when you start to mix them together, so if I start to mix orange and blue together, they actually neutralize each other and make a gray or a brown, depending on what type. All right, so loving this. I love the different tones in here. This is still very yellow up here, even though it's a green gold. It has a little bit of hints of coolness to it, but it's still very much in the warm color family. We're gonna let this dry. This top part is more dry, so we're gonna start to put in some of our bright oranges. So I am gonna pull out from my palette, I have this beautiful orange color. You can see on here, I'm going to get into these oranges. So this is burnt sienna. These two oranges, one is quinacridone gold, and the other is, I have to have my, hold on, my cheat sheet, my card. I can never remember the names of colors. So Quin Gold and Transparent Pyrrole Orange. So that's these two colors up here in my palette. And then I also have Burnt Sienna on there. And that's what I'm going to use for the trees. And then we're going to get into Permanent Scarlet and Cadmium Red for our barn. Maybe a little alizarin crimson, but I don't think so. All right, so for my trees, all right, I'm picking up that gold, Quin Gold, and I'm just going to start to kind of make these fluffy tops of these trees, like so. And you saw the branches that I kind of drew out there. I painted right over them because I'm going to put them in. So these fluffy branches up top, these are not going to have any lines in them for branches. Okay. And then I'm going to take some water and I'm going to make a lighter kind of color here. This part, I'm going to let the branches show through. So I'm going to have kind of like a canopy. The branches are going to kind of end here around this fluffy top. Again, it's in this kind of folk arty style. You'll see when we add the branches later on. Look at that beautiful tree. All right, do the same thing over here. Maybe make a different shape tree. This one is very round. Maybe we'll make this one more tall and kind of cylinder shaped. rinse my brush off, start down here with water and just start to touch up into there. I don't want to pull too much down, otherwise we won't get this kind of glowing effect. There we go. So, oh, I love this little piece in here. Actually, I want to enhance it a little bit if I can. Pull out a little bit of color. So you can see these still do pull color, but you're just not going to get as light and bright as you would with some other paints. There we go. Love that. Beautiful. We got to let those dry and add in the branches later. All right, let's get to our barn. So we have some windows in there. Those are going to be a dark color, but we're going to outline them in white at the end with our bleed proof white. So we are just going to get into our reds. So I'm going to do a flat kind of red wash. Cadmium red I've picked up. I'm going to go right over my windows. So you can see this red really pops against all these yellows here. It really stands out and it looks quite cool. It looks like a cooler red color, even though it's really not. It'd be different if I picked up like alizarin crimson, which is a very cool red color. So it is red. It's still considered a warm color, but it's a cool version. I don't mean to confuse you by using cool and warm all together. That's another topic for another video, but all the warm and cool colors have warm and cool versions of themselves. I know, crazy. All right, so we've got our barn painted in. I'm going to make this side of the barn a little darker, that it's in kind of shadow under this roof here. So I'm just going to mix some cadmium red with some raw umber. So just to get this darker red color. I have a lot of paint on here. I probably don't need this much. Again, trying not to, just gonna blend it out, take a little off my brush, blend it out here. And then I'm also gonna take a little bit of this while this is still wet and just put some under the roof line here, give it a little shape, a little shadow. Okay, great. We're gonna let that dry a little bit. It doesn't have to be completely dry. Well, it should be completely dry, I guess, when we put in our windows. We're pretty close to it. So I'm just going to pull out some, let's see. I'm going to pull out some, I'm adding to my cadmium red. You can't see my palette here. I'm just adding to my, this was cadmium red and I just added a whole bunch of Payne's Gray to it. So it still has like a reddish hue, a warmish black hue. So I don't know if you can see that on camera, probably not. But we're just going to wait for the barn and the trees to dry a little bit more. And then we're going to add in the center areas. We're going to put a white fence in the front with our bleed proof white. We're going to outline the windows with our bleed proof white. I'm going to put a brown roof on here. Oh, I know what we can do. So do we want to leave that white up there? It kind of looks cool white, but I think I'm going to make it orange. A light orange color. I'm going to get some cauliflower in here from the way the water is drying. So I'm just going to take my brush and rub it along the edge to smooth that out a little bit. My brush is completely clean and mostly dry. There we go. All right, so I have this transparent pyrrole orange, which is a super bright orange. It's this orange here. See that? Ugh, I don't know if I want that in there, but I'm going to water it down. All right, so I've this is a really strong color. Okay, I've watered it down quite a bit on my brush. I'm just going to fill this in. My sky around it is dry. You can definitely, I didn't erase my pencil mark there. So that's kind of distracting for sure. I'm going to take some of this dark color and just put it around the edges. And leave it like that. And we'll see what we have at the end. So kind of matching the trees up in the sky there. It's a little bit of a different orange, leaving the center a little lighter and brighter. We'll see if we like it at the end. Okay. Barn. Trees, they're not quite dry yet. This is not quite dry yet. Take a pause for a second, let everything dry, and we will continue momentarily with our details. All right, we're back. Everything is dry by the miracle of TV camera magic. All right, so I am going to take that cadmium red Payne's gray mixture, which is really just a warm gray color, and I am going to start filling in my windows and my doors on my barn. And again, we're going to outline these in white just to be kind of true to the folk arty style. And again, this isn't pure folk art, but it's definitely very much influenced by it. And I've just started to kind of dabble in this, creating more whimsical, kind of interesting pieces that I think are just fun. All right, our roof, Van Dyke Brown. We're going to go Van Dyke Brown on our roof. Although I really like it white. I think it adds something kind of cool to it, but I feel like barn roofs aren't white. Kind of went light on the Van Dyke Brown, added quite a bit of water. And maybe I'll add a little more towards the top. There we go. I put a little, even though it's just like a pencil line right now here, I'll put a little line here. Okay, I'm going to take our burnt umber, which is our darkest brown. You could even do like Payne's gray and burnt umber to make it really dark. But I'm going to start to go into my trees up here. So and these are going to be very stylized. So, we're not trying to be super realistic. And I actually went up higher than I wanted to on this one. I wasn't paying attention. All right, one. I just don't want to put my hand in anything wet. So I'm keeping them thin, but I'm not worrying too much about, they're much more, I don't know how to describe it. They're a lot more consistent than like if I was trying to make realistic branches. Like the little ones would be super, super thin. The ends would be much thinner than they are. But these are more, I guess, consistent in width and shape as we go. All right. And I'm going to add I think I'm going to add just a tree over here. Am I? You know, I think I might add a bush here actually, or something there. Let's rinse our brush off. And you know, I'm going to take this burnt sienna color actually, or no, this raw sienna color, this kind of like wheatgrass color, and I'm just going to create some long grass here. Don't worry, we're going to get into some white details shortly in just a few minutes. So I'm going to create some grass there. I'm going to take some of that green gold color. And I'm going to add the tiniest bit of sap green to it just to make it a little bit more contrasty. I'm going to add it back here, but it's still going to be a very warm color. I'm going to keep my strokes really tiny back here because they're further away. There we go. All right. So I think we're done with those details. We're going to now get into our white, our bleed proof white, which if you saw my live video, you know I am scraping the bottom of the barrel with my bleed proof white right now. Hopefully I can go out today and get some more. Hopefully my art store has some. All right, so I'm using a size 4 brush. Add a little water in here. And what I'm going to start to do is actually outline my windows and doors. This one got a little out of control. My doorway took off on me. You can give your door windows kind of the window pane look if you want. This door right here is a little thick, but we can always give that attention later. I'm actually going to outline my roof as well, I think. This is something I definitely see in folk art style paintings. This is kind of outlining structure. I'm going to definitely add some, let's see, that got really thick there. You see that? I'm going to rinse my brush off. I'm going to thin out the white as best I can. Just a damp brush. I'm going to pick up some paper towel to pick up some of that white. And then after that completely dries, I can add a little bit more of the dark color into there as well. I don't know if I love this white on the top here. I'm going to take some of my brown. And fill my roof in darker. So I was really subtle with it before because I think I was really like married to that white. I thought it looked really good, but now I feel like it has to go darker. It can't be like halfway between. There we go. Oh, such a cute little barn. All right. I'm going to go in with my transparent Pyrrol again. I'm going to go around my sun. I'm going to blend it out and just let that dry. All right, and now I'm going to start to add my white fence on the front. So the white fence is just simply a line and then these little fence posts, but they're not, don't worry about them being super perfect. You do want them to be kind of straight. This isn't like creepy Halloween crooked iron fence, but they don't have to be like super duper perfect. And I think it ends right here. There we go. And then I'm also just going to add, I'm going to go back between some of these areas. I'm going to add some white grasses and details to the same places I added. Although my white is struggling here. We are struggling. There we go. That has a better flow to it. Put some back here. And then you could also put, you know, let's see. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to put some just foreground details of white, little stylized leaves. These are very like reminiscent of like what you would see on like quilting patterns or. So I'm going to do a couple of these. Well, and I'm actually going to do maybe just from this corner some leaves, and then I'm going to put some dark brown, so super contrasty, very blocky looking. Do one this way, little tiny leaves. Okay, so I have a couple in the corner there. And then I'm just going to throw in with my raw umber, which is that dark brown color. A few of the same shapes, but just in a contrasting color, as you can see here. Sorry, I get really quiet when, which is maybe good for you guys, when I'm doing these tiny little shapes. I'm trying to concentrate. And I'm going to do one more like regular leaf overlapping this. Probably should have waited for my bleed proof white to dry a little bit longer, but it's okay. It's coming out okay. And then you could even just take a few. Actually, I'm going to take my tip of this brush. I can get really thin strokes with this. And I'm going to just take it across the fence a little bit in a few spots. Kind of between the fence posts. There we go. All right, I love it. I love this really warm, only warm colors allowed. It gives such a vibrant and different feeling than the other. I'll put them side by side. Let me just get this tape off of here. But thank you so much for painting with me. Again, I'm Shayna Cersei. If you are not a subscriber here, I would love for you to be a subscriber. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Share this with someone else who is loving their watercolor journey or just starting on their watercolor journey. And then here we go, side by side, two very different feelings in terms of the cool and the warm, but similar stylized feelings in terms of the kind of folk art blocky feel. I love them both for various reasons. I hope you do too. Leave a comment below. What do you like about this style? What do you not like about this style? Have you struggled with warm and cool colors? Did this video help at all? I really appreciate your comments and feedback. Don't forget to check out the description for a list of supplies, as well as links to my studio crew and my Instagram account. So you can find these on Instagram, as well as all of the other things I'm doing in my day-to-day art life. So thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, happy painting, y'all.